Good evening, and now at 10 o'clock we start with heartbreaking news out of Tacoma. A police officer has died after being shot several times tonight.
We've suffered a great loss, and I think the community has suffered a great loss.
This is a developing story. It began earlier this evening when police responded to a domestic violence call.
That killer has not yet been captured. Police believe he's in the home behind us, but still they have not told us that for sure. Really, this neighborhood's been on edge since about 5:15 when neighbors first started hearing gunshots and then the cries for help.
We are live right outside of Tacoma General, where you see a long line of officers, and you can see here that there's a long line of officers that are a part of this procession, and the line doesn't stop here. It weaves into the building, and there are hospital workers who are also lining the halls.
We are seeing just a long line of people here to pay their respects. Many of them have American flags raised in the air. Some of them have candles. All of them have heavy hearts.
The loss of the life of an officer is not right, and it's not fair to a community. The officers who come out here every day and face what they face, it's a hard blow, and it's one that we shouldn't have to worry about.
I wish everybody would just love each other and get along.
King 5 has team coverage throughout this morning. Let's start with Alyssa Hahn, who's live at the scene. Alyssa.
About 12 hours after Tacoma police responded to the scene where one of them would suffer fatal gunshot wounds, a gunman inside the home has been shot and killed, and 2 young children were rescued. Now, around 3:30 this morning, we saw SWAT officers move into the home. We heard one shot. An officer from outside the home took the gunman out, shooting through the bedroom window. Then we saw an officer carrying out a child.
We negotiated through the night. Negotiations failed. We went in and took one of the kids when we had a chance, and he grabbed the other kid, and one of our officers felt he had a shot. He took it.
I want to share a special moment as well that we witnessed here just a couple of minutes ago. At 5:30 in the morning, a mother and her 2 children decided to brave the cold and drop off a note and flowers for the fallen officer. We asked her, why do this? She says it's a teaching moment to show her kids what respect means and why it's important to honor police.
I have friends who are police officers, and I wanted the kids to realize what was going on and to come pay our respects, right? Because police officers are important. Because why?
They help us out.
What? Yeah, why, buddy? Say that again.
Because they take care of us.
The most watched news in Western Washington. This is King 5 News at 4.
We love our police officers, and we know that every day when they go to work, there's a chance they may not come home. And unfortunately, that happened last evening.
A Tacoma police officer killed in the line of duty, diffusing a family dispute in East Tacoma. A tense 11-hour standoff ends with the gunman dead. Now the community turns its focus to the officer, Reginald Gutierrez, known by family and friends as Jake.
It is tough and it's hard because you work closely with these folks and you get to know them.
All day today, people have stopped at police headquarters to pay their respects, and vigils are planned for tonight.
This city is now united, and we are resilient.
Oh, amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
We're here to honor Jake. We're here to honor his sacrifice.
A father, grandfather, fiance, an officer. Reginald J. Gutierrez, killed last night in the line of duty. Tonight, hundreds of strangers come together as a community in Tacoma to mourn and honor a hero gone too soon.
A voice of calm in a chaotic, or what can be a chaotic workplace, obviously, police stations and crime scenes. We talked to Officer Shelby Boyd, who told us that no matter what, he would always ask how your family's doing. It might have been a snowy night, a rainy night, a horrible crime scene, but he always made time for the other officers. And we just heard a call out to hold off all the traffic, and we are seeing that beginning of the procession here now.
My dad was in law enforcement, my sister was in law enforcement, and I have a background in law enforcement as well. So we wanted to just come pay our respects to the fallen officer.
The officer is never left without an honor cord casket watch with them.
That is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Let's listen in for a moment.
We see now the riderless horse coming into view, and you were talking earlier about the significance of the riderless horse with the boot facing back toward your comrades. What a powerful image.
Call 044, no answer. Call 044, out of service. Gone but not forgotten.
We have breaking news to tell you about. 4 people are dead after a shooting at Cascade Mall in Burlington. Police are using every resource possible to hunt down the shooter. Sky King is over the mall right now, showing the sea of law enforcement lights and paramedics in that parking lot. Here's what we know.
WSP is reporting that the gunman left the mall before police arrived. He was last seen headed toward I-5. As far as we know, he has not been caught right now. We are getting word now that there is only one shooter involved here. Police only looking for one shooter. And in fact, we are getting a picture. This seems to have been taken from surveillance video. This is the man police are looking for. This is the man who is described by witnesses as the shooter. And this is the man still at large at this hour.
Armando, take me back to the minutes when that shooting happened. What did you hear? What were you doing while it was going on?
I turn around and I hear a shot, it sounded like a clap, and next thing you know, another shot, and then after that, bang, 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 and I heard like about 7 or 8 shots, and at that point, I dropped whatever I had in my hand, and I just started running.
Joe, what did you see? What happened?
Well, I was sitting outside the Macy's entrance, drinking a cup of coffee when I heard a lot of shots and people running out of Macy's store. Then I saw a man pointing a gun and shooting people. And then I got up to go look a little closer, and he saw me, pointed the gun. I took off running. And after the shots stopped ringing, I went back into Macy's to look for my wife. And I called 911 before I ran in. And while I was on 911, I let them know that there were people down. 2 elderly ladies looked like they had been, they were on the floor. I checked if they were live, and one of them was dead. I'm sure both of them were because there was so much blood. I saw several other people laying on the floor and still looking for my wife and calling for her, and finally found her in the fitting room. And I did see there was another lady behind the cosmetic counter taking care of a wounded person, and the .22 rifle was sitting on the counter.
This is what he heard from a father who was trying to be reunited with a child. Listen to this.
But this, I don't know, they say the police, I talked to the police, you see my daughter, I don't know, they say you have more guys, people over there.
So you've tried to call your daughter and you haven't been able to reach her?
No, I called for the phone, there's no entry.
She was shopping inside the Macy's at the time?
Yeah.
Heather Graff is still standing by at the county building right now. We're awaiting this news conference. Heather, I'm wondering what you might expect to hear from this. There are a lot of questions.
Hi, Jake, and it appears that news conference is starting right now here at the Skagit County Administrative Building. Authorities walking right in, among them the Skagit County Sheriff. I'm going to step out of the way now so we can listen in.
How do you help the community move forward, and what is kind of sticking with you as you
like
talk
this?
Are we gonna?
Like
I'm
this.
glad. I need it. We all do.
Yes.
We all do.
Yes.
We all do.
Yes.
Patty, thank you
Thank
for putting
you.
this together. And this is happening right now, and it's going to go up throughout the morning, right?
Yes.
Throughout the morning.
Up into
here
the
at Haven
afternoon.
Park.
We've got lots of food.
Lots of food here. All right, Jake, I'm going to send it back to you at Cascade Mall.
All right.
You need that, right? After hearing all of those details, it's nice to see this.
Right now, we understand that a suspect, a person of interest in the shooting, has been taken into custody. We're going to go live straight to Chris Ingalls with the very latest on this breaking story. Chris?
So you're absolutely right. I have a high-level source who's telling me at this hour that police have put handcuffs on a 20-year-old Oak Harbor man who is now being escorted from Oak Harbor, where he was arrested. It's unclear if that was his residence. Perhaps it's the place he lives with his mother, but he's coming from Oak Harbor back to the Mount Vernon, Burlington area where the shooting happened last night.
We know more about 20-year-old Arkan Seaton, the Oak Harbor man who is now in custody, arrested by police in the Oak Harbor area today. So I've talked to a source who said that Seaton actually had 3 guns on him, all guns that were legally purchased and stolen from his father. The murder weapon used at the Cascade Mall last night, according to authorities, to kill 5 people was a .22 caliber Ruger hunting type gun, but he also had 2 other guns in his custody that he stole from his father.
3 witnesses I talked to said it happened right here on this sidewalk, and we talked to a witness who was watching the arrest right across the street on her porch. That witness took this cell phone video as well of cop cars that converged here on this street. We also talked to a man who says he recognized the suspect earlier today. He said that he recognized the suspect from a local gym.
And I recognized the guy in the pictures as somebody that I had seen at the base gym. And, you know, my gut was telling me to do something about it. I was like, no, that's not him. No, that's not him. But then finally something else just told me to do something about it.
Now, after the arrest, here's a Facebook video we got. It shows police high-fiving, of course, very ecstatic that they were able to make an arrest within 24 hours.
I want to get to these photos and show you them. These photos are taken, they were taken within the last hour and a half. We took them here of who we believe to be the Burlington shooting suspect. That's when law enforcement brought him in about an hour and a half ago. They took him right behind me, actually, through these gates right here into the Skagit County Jail.
This community will never forget what happened here, who they lost here. And that's why at Ground Zero, they come to deliver the support Skagit families need.
That's just a dream. I feel like she should be here right now.
Salvador Lara Jr. lost his little sister, Sarari, Friday night.
Well, she was a really beautiful young lady. She was 16 years old. She was a sophomore in Mount Vernon High School. She was really sweet. She was really sweet to everybody. I don't know. I just don't know how this happened.
Sarai's father, with the help of a translator,
Está loco, pero no creo que esté loco.
is still replaying those last moments in his mind.
Que quieren ir a la mall.
They told me they wanted to go to the mall that day.
Al rato vengo por
I told her I'll leave you the credit card right here and then I'll come and pick you up in a little while.
That was the last time he would see his daughter. Sarai's mother, Eva,
Tuvo que dispararle a ella.
Why he had to shot her?
numb with questions she can't answer and thinking about the child she lost who had already been through so much.
She survived cancer, knee cancer.
A survivor.
Yeah, for about I'd say 2 years.
Her family saddened she had to suffer again.
Not good.
That's why this hurts so much.
When it comes to criminal offenders, the public is safer when they're sober. That's why the courts often send them to drug or alcohol treatment as part of their sentence. But what if they're really not getting treated at all? That's the accusation we uncovered as we investigated sobriety for sale at several state-licensed treatment centers.
These should be doors that open to a new and better life for alcohol and drug addicts. A Change Counseling in Tacoma is a state-approved evaluation and treatment clinic.
He did not want to quit drinking. I begged him to quit drinking.
Kathy Bisbee's husband was ordered into counseling after a DUI arrest in Fife in 2013, according to court records.
And I was really counting on his classes to keep him in line.
He enrolled at A Change Counseling for a 3-month program of group therapy and drug and alcohol testing.
Weeks went by and I was thinking, well, why isn't he starting these classes? He should be starting these classes.
Kathy says her husband eventually admitted he wouldn't go at all. Kathy laid it all out in this request 2 years ago for a domestic violence protection order. She wrote that her husband paid money, cash, to get out of classes for alcohol treatment. Kathy says he paid Clarence Farmer, the owner of A Change, $1,700.
Well, when he came home and told me he didn't have to go to classes, I was very devastated.
Court records show that Farmer, who is also a licensed counselor, signed these documents and checked the box in compliance, certifying to the judge that Kathy's husband attended all of his treatment classes. A tip from a law firm led the King 5 investigators to A Change Counseling. The firm said this employee solicited 2 of its clients for payments to make the hassles of treatment and testing go away. Barute Lampkin, known as Tay, is a state-licensed counselor. Tay Lampkin agreed to meet us for a formal TV interview at this Lakewood park. He never showed, but he did talk to me several weeks ago in an interview I recorded on my iPhone. Did you ever take money from any clients?
Never taken any money from any client ever. For any services, for any goods, for any exchanges. It's unethical. It's against the law, number one.
Lampkin denied that he asked for or accepted any kind of bribes from clients. But he said that this summer he learned that another employee at A Change did. How much money did she take?
$3,000.
She took $3,000 from this guy?
Yes, she did.
Tay Lampkin told me he has never taken money from any client.
Not true.
Not true.
Not true at all.
This client we'll call Alan says Lampkin hit him up for $600 after he claimed Alan had failed a urinalysis test. Alan thought the interlock device on his truck could prove that he hadn't been drinking, but he opted to pay Lampkin instead.
At the time, it seemed cheaper, you know, because if I had to fight it, I would have to get a lawyer again, and then you're talking about, could be thousands to fight that.
Kathy Bisbee's husband denied that he paid off anyone at A Change. He called Bisbee vindictive in a phone interview and a liar. He said he's not had a drink since his 2013 DUI arrest. But this Pierce County court document tells a different story. Grainy photos from the interlock ignition device on his truck show him failing an alcohol breath test. He pled guilty to a probation violation in July of 2014. Our year-long sobriety for sale investigations expanded to include 4 other clinics, 5 in all, where counselors are accused of taking bribes and falsifying court records. And we showed you how one innocent woman may have paid for that with her life. Morgan Fick Williams was killed in a head-on crash on the 520 bridge on her way to work. A client at A Change Counseling, Michael Robertson, was drunk and driving the wrong way on 520. Our investigation raised questions about his A Change counselor and whether he was actually getting his court-ordered treatment. That counselor is one of 3 that the state is now investigating at A Change. State agencies are also investigating all of the clinics identified in our story.
I have muscle spasms.
This is the face of Hanford the government doesn't want you to see.
I guess it's the best way of saying it.
Jerry Furson, a pipe fitter who worked at the site for 27 years. He's a chemical vapor victim so sick he's struggling to make it through this interview.
Yeah, I guess that's the way you would say it.
Jerry has acute nerve damage, asthma, cirrhosis of the liver, and more. All from exposure to poisonous vapors at Hanford. For many years, Jerry worked in Hanford's tank farms, where the most lethal substance on the planet is stored in massive underground tanks. Nuclear waste left behind from decades of producing plutonium for the country's nuclear weapons program. That's him in the upper right corner of this picture, working at the site. Once a fit, healthy man.
What do you think happened to Jerry?
I think the chemicals just absolutely ate everything up inside him.
The chemicals at Hanford?
Yeah.
After a rash of exposures in 2014, Jerry's union, the local 598 pipe fitters, drew a line in the sand. All members would wear full respiratory gear like this, with fresh air bottles on their backs at all times. The first and only union to ever do so. But the equipment is heavy. It costs government contractors money, and it slows down the work. The pipe fitters decided no exceptions. It's the only way to make sure you won't be exposed to a vapor.
It just came down to the safety of the workers.
Tim Still is Local 598's business manager.
Protecting your workers is our #1 job, and making sure they're safe and they go to work safe and they get a safe work environment and they go home to their families every day. That's our #1 job. That's what we do.
After Jerry's union decided protecting members from vapors was job #1, job 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on down the line dried up. Remember, supplying and maintaining that gear costs money and slows down the work. Jobs historically awarded to pipe fitters suddenly wound up going to other trades. When this document surfaced, their suspicion turned to certainty. It's a request for proposal, or RFP, asking for bids on a lucrative contract in the tank farms.
Shock that they would even put that in an RFP.
What was in there? Language saying everyone knows the 598 pipe fitters are donning respiratory protection and greatly reducing production rates, and that the contract award will be based on ability, costs, and deliverable timeframes. In other words, production rates.
There is a battle out there against the safety on workers.
Our Hanford reporting led to Washington's Attorney General filing a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Energy and its contractor. Here's our AG, Bob Ferguson.
Folks getting sick continuously at the tank farms, in some cases seriously sick. And it's happening in our backyard, right? Under the watch of our federal government. It's not acceptable. My team understands clearly we'll be relentless about this. We'll use every tool we have, and I'm confident in the end they will be held accountable.
Have you ever wondered about the safety of the cars you hire for convenience? I'm talking about taxis, Ubers, and Lyfts. The owners are licensed by local governments, so you might expect they'd be held to a higher standard. But we found in many cases no one is checking to see if some serious defects are being fixed. They're the repeated source of headlines. Takata airbag blamed for woman's death. Teenage driver dies after airbag ruptures. Deadly unintended acceleration. Toyota ordered to pay over fatal crash. Record-setting recalls, says the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. In just 2 years, the number of cars marked for repair at more than 102 million. And when it comes to vehicles for hire, taxis, Ubers, and Lyfts, we found many of those defects are not getting corrected.
For hire.
Not what travelers catching a ride out of SeaTac Airport wanted to hear.
Wow, that's scary. It's a safety issue.
That's not good.
We asked Seattle for the VIN numbers for every vehicle for hire in the city. That's an identifier unique to each car. It's not like this is private information. VIN numbers are publicly displayed right here on everybody's windshields. But that didn't stop Uber and Lyft from taking us to court, filing these temporary restraining orders trying to block us from getting the information, arguing that that would cause serious competitive harm, reveal personal identifying information, and that the data goes straight to the heart of their operations. Really? Or are they just worried about what we might find out? The restraining orders barred Seattle from giving us information that would tell us if a specific car was owned by an Uber or Lyft driver. But we were able to get a lot of information, and we cross-referenced it against a national database maintained by NHTSA. That revealed vehicles for hire in Seattle had an incomplete recall roughly 40% of the time. Seattle does require vehicles for hire to pass annual safety inspections. But the checklist the city provides to certified mechanics says nothing specifically about recalls. The city denied our request for an interview, but in an email they told us that as a result of our investigation, they are now considering the city's options for regulating recalls.
It's just been a really long walk. Oh, as I say that, someone just threw a rock into the window of the Bank of America building right to my right. That just happened. Obviously, for the anti-capitalist march, big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, that's the target, essentially. And we just saw Target acquired on the Bank of America building right here in Pioneer Square.
Okay, we are seeing now,
hopefully you can see us.
We're seeing a confrontation happening between a police line and a lot of tear gas being exploded.
Essentially what happened is
Some protesters tried to make a turn. We now have police, if you can see, standing to my right here with a flashbang gun. The protesters are throwing Roman candles at the police. It's almost like all-out warfare. Protesters throwing the rocks. There goes another flashbang. A lot of Roman candles. There's another one right there. But we are walking with the police who are holding the guns right behind us. Now there's flashbangs. I think the thing that did it was that rock that went at that Bank of America building. Chaos as these protesters try to disperse and run away from
Well, they're not messing around.
They're pretty startling. The base has stopped.
I just got hit with a rubber bullet. Heads up.
You can see the bulk of the black-clad protesters are continuing southbound on what appears to be 2nd Avenue.
May Day 2016. How did we go from music and dancing to megaphones and dodging flashbangs? The progression seemed inevitable.
It felt really dark, like a dark spirit over here, because people dressed all in black and their faces covered.
Once the marching started, right away, a roadblock. Police and pepper spray turned the crowd around.
You want to go like left or there?
They move up 4th, down 2nd. In the middle of it is Cecilia Carey, a homeless woman who says the message is clear.
I am sick and tired of capitalism destroying this country and the planet that we live on.
But on the sidelines, some see it different.
Protesters need to quit protesting. Yep, and go get a life for themselves and do something positive.
As they weave through city streets, a destructive turn. The confrontations keep coming, with rocks whizzing through the air, glass shattering on the ground. Protesters and police face to face leads to this.
Where do y'all want us to go?
Then the crowd is trapped again, pushing some to strip in the street. Shedding their mask and black clothing, they peel away the armor down to their underwear and keep going. It's the kind of May Day some in Seattle have come to expect.
The most watched news in Western Washington. This is King 5 News.
This is Battalion 6. I need a full response to 213 North 85th Street. I have firefighters missing.
An explosion destroyed several buildings in the Seattle neighborhood. 9 firefighters injured at the scene.
The good news is all 9 have been released from the hospital. They're in good spirits.
Now at 5, the blast. Surveillance video shows the moment as it happened. The aftermath. Popular businesses reduced to rubble.
It's very disturbing to have something like that happen right here in your neighborhood.
And the investigation as experts look for evidence. The Greenwood explosion. It's our top story.
Here's a live picture over the area now. Shattered windows, splintered storefronts, piles of debris where buildings once stood. The blast radius covering a Seattle neighborhood, and it's now the center of attention for investigators. The explosion happened in the heart of Seattle's Greenwood neighborhood on the city's north end. The worst damage is located along Greenwood Avenue North, just a half block from North 85th Street.
Here is a closer look at the neighborhood. Google Maps shows you what the area looked like before the explosion, and then the blast happened at 1:40 this morning, leveling 3 businesses, a coffee shop, a Greek food restaurant, and a convenience store. The focus now is to determine the reason why the explosion happened.
We have several reporters following our top story. Dan Casuto will bring you reaction from the community as the cleanup continues. But we begin with Alyssa Hahn live with more about the investigation and the city's response.
Lori, we're on the backside of the building that was leveled. Take a look behind me. You can see the glass, the pieces of wood that are scattered. We're a half block away, and this is how bad the debris field is. And look even farther behind me. You can see that heap of materials back there. That's where those 3 businesses used to be.
Investigators say the explosion was an accident, and we now know where they are focusing their attention. Investigators are focusing on the gas meter like this one on the outside of the building. They want to know whether or not the leak happened before the meter or after the meter. Before, right here, that would be Puget Sound Energy's problem. If it were after, going into the building, that would be the property owner's issue.
With daylight came clarity. A chunk of Seattle reduced to piles of lumber, cement, and bent metal. Those images of destruction matched by an equally powerful sign of hope. Students at a nearby elementary school sent a quiet but unmistakable message to the firefighters who had kept them safe.
I was so impressed with what you did this morning.
Mayor Ed Murray thanked those students this afternoon, and he promised to return the favor.
Well, there's about 36 different stores that have been damaged, so there's a lot of stores, but we're going to get them all fixed.
Now the campaigns come to Washington. Sanders looking to surge.
Seattle is ready for a political revolution.
Clinton hoping for a knockout.
Come out and caucus for me this Saturday. Thank you so much, Seattle.
Live from King 5 News, coverage of the Washington Democratic Caucuses.
Good morning. It is Democratic Caucus Day in the state of Washington. People are gathering at 500 caucus sites like the one you're looking at live right now at University Place, Curtis High School.
Let's go live now to King 5's Alyssa Hahn, who is at Eckstein Middle School. Alyssa.
Lori and Mark, behind me, we have a packed room full of people. Let me step away so you can see that everybody who is gathered here today take part in this democratic process.
Y'all know who you're going to vote for yet?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Oh, Bernie Sanders.
Okay. All right, we got a couple Bernie supporters over here.
And at this point, the only politician who truly speaks for Generation X, because he's been there and done that all the way back with Dr. King, is Bernie Sanders.
Hillary's fighting for women. She's for equal pay, and she's for paid leave, which is huge.
We have the final results from how they break down, the percentage breakdown. So 6 delegates will go to Bernie Sanders at this precinct and 2 delegates to Hillary Clinton.
So far, we've seen overwhelming for Bernie. Yeah. And this is, we thought that the margin would be a little bit smaller because of Clinton's, organizing. Activity over the past few weeks. So what is your take on these initial numbers? I know it's still way early in the process, but...
Tidal wave.
Let's show you what it looks like on the map when you're missing King County. Right now, this is the governor's race, and we have it right at 50-50 with Bryant up by 470 votes. Jay Inslee is still up 10 points over Bill Bryant, but much of that lead, well, actually the entire lead comes from King County, because you can see his margin here is even larger than it is statewide. Good morning and welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Natalie Brand. Well, this morning we're focusing on the race to replace embattled State Auditor Troy Kelly.
I would take issue with one point, which is financial auditing is what this office does. And Senator Milosha has talked about performance auditing, which is different from financial auditing.
I've done performance audits and contract financial audits. You're a lawyer who likes suing people. You have no experience with quality of performance. So don't explain to me what an audit is, since you haven't done one before.
So Natalie, if I could just say something, I think this is exactly what we don't need in the state auditor's office, this politicizing of the office.
In this Democrat-dominated city, so blue, it helps secure statewide wins year after year. You might say there was little question as to who would win.
I know they can be great politicians.
Hillary Clinton got Craig Hebert's vote as well.
Yes, I did. I voted a few days ago.
Though she did have to share the space on his porch balcony in Shoreline.
Who do we got? Well, we got the most loved man in America right here, Donald Trump. I mean, everybody's stressed out. It's a really negative campaign. It's really dividing people big time.
So as voters blew off some steam at this presidential-themed boxing class in Wallingford.
We're over it. Everyone's over it. That's what they keep saying.
But you know what? We're going to win.
The state Democratic Party prepped for a quick knockout in this country's first ever female president.
Oh my.
Donald Trump pulled ahead as a group of seniors watched from this retirement community in Queen Anne. Marion Karpal began to worry.
Really depressing. It's really depressing.
While back at the Democrats' camp at the downtown Westin,
let's give them a big round of applause.
A brass band was brought in and tried unsuccessfully to lift the crowd's spirits.
Well, I waited 69 years to see a woman president, so I'm hoping the absentee ballots will come in and they'll still swing it, but I don't know.
I mean, if she were elected tonight, of course, it would make history.
And as one battleground state after another fell in Trump's favor.
Say, I need the drink.
Drowning your sorrows across Seattle.
This is bad.
Became a common theme.
If I'm going to be a dirty girl, or a nasty woman, I'm going to have a nasty martini.
Explain to me the universe that we live in.
Disbelief for Michael McLean and many others.
Donald J. Trump will become the 45th president of the United States, defeating Hillary Clinton in a campaign unlike anything we've seen in our lifetime.
This is a sarcastic clap.
Soon turned to despair
Madness.
with the news that Clinton had called Trump to concede.
You've all given me such incredible support.
The victory speech.
We are going to fix our inner cities.
Prompting a very different emotion at this GOP event held in Bellevue.
We won! Yeah!
Ending homelessness in this city or any city in America will not be easy, and it will not happen quickly.
Seattle Mayor Ed Murray talks about homelessness in the city, just a day after a gunman opened fire at an encampment, killing 2 people and wounding 3 others. Now at 5, how the city plans to help the homeless, the cleanup operation at one of the city's most notorious encampments, and what it's like living on the streets.
Today, just north of the jungle, city and state crews cleaned up another encampment under this off-ramp. They picked up trash and took down tents.
This is my girlfriend's stuff here.
Mike says he's lived here for 6 months. He put everything he owned into this stroller and this shopping cart.
Very difficult. I don't know where my next place is.
He says he used to live in the jungle, but left because of its dangers.
You gotta really watch your bag.
So were you surprised when you found out about the shooting?
Not really. Not really surprised.
Mike told us he would look into services the city offered him today, but we found him headed back to the jungle. He hopes it's temporary.
Homelessness in Seattle. The numbers are alarming. Today, King 5 tackles the issue. What are the root causes? And how can you make a difference?
Just say hello.
All day, all screens. Today on King 5 News.
We're live at Tent City 5. We've been working with residents here in the Inner Bay neighborhood to bring you the state of homelessness this morning. So what does it really mean to be homeless?
On any given night across King County, across Seattle, some 10,000 people could find themselves homeless. We rank 4th in the nation when it comes to the metro areas, with only New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas having a higher homeless population than the city of Seattle. And contrary to the stereotype, many of the people who are homeless are women, mothers with children, just like Ashley.
Maybe I took things for granted.
Seattle. It was supposed to be a new beginning.
It can happen to anybody. It don't matter who you is. It don't matter what you have. You can be brought to your lowest.
After surviving Hurricane Katrina, moving to the Northwest, it wasn't at all what Ashley imagined.
It was crazy. I was scared. I didn't want to lose my kids, and I know that it wasn't for me.
She was 25 and a single mother. She was also 2 months pregnant when her boyfriend threw her out.
And I didn't want to go in no shelter because I was embarrassed and shamed, and I had to because I didn't want them to take my kids. So I just went in the shelter, and I stayed in there long, and I didn't have nobody. I didn't have no help.
She did have the money, enough to get her own apartment. The trouble was her credit. She couldn't get approved.
But it wasn't a choice. I was homeless, and it's nothing that I could do about it.
1 month at Mary's place turned into 2, and then 4. She gave birth to her daughter and had to return. What she thought would be just weeks at a shelter lasted nearly a year.
I want to start with the kids. There are about 35,000 in the state who are homeless. I know people who are advocates, that's where they lose sleep at night, is about the kids. Where do you lose sleep on this issue?
Well, it's a place I've been losing sleep since I was first day as governor. One of the first things we did was to refocus our efforts on homeless kids, because you're right, we do have 35,000 kids going to school in our public schools that are not housed. And it's hard to do homework if you don't have a home.
Down this alley is a view some want to shut out.
Hey.
But Rex Holbein opens up.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man.
Yeah, what's new?
6 years ago, the successful architect saw a community in crisis
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
and decided to make a connection.
What's your name?
Gordon.
Gordon, I'm Rex.
At his office window,
Great to meet you.
Seattle's homeless know they can find a warm pair of socks
Okay, here. These ones are on the heater, actually. They're pretty warm.
Oh, toasty broskies.
Yeah.
and
All right,
compassion that's contagious.
All right, nice seeing you, Steve.
I love you, man.
I love you too, buddy. I'll see you later. And a lot of beauty really happens at that window.
And he wants to capture it.
Hey, Emily.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm okay. Just drawing.
Oh, you're drawing. Wow, I didn't know you drew.
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He takes the time to learn their stories.
Yeah, in March I'll be homeless for a year.
Then poses the question.
Hey, would you be okay if I took your picture?
Photographs he wants people to pay attention to.
That's a good one.
That's a good
that
smile.
one. Oh,
back hair.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Whether it's Emily in the University District.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Man, it's nice seeing you again.
Or David beneath a bridge in Inner Bay.
Yeah, the city towed my vehicle.
Now the car is in need of repair and David's in need of a job.
Okay, what kind of work are you looking for right now?
I'm a framer. I enjoy stacking patients. So
Okay.
all woodwork.
So should I take a photo of you then?
Yeah, sure. That'd be fine.
One more.
He'll use the picture plus David's story to make a plea for help.
We'll raise the money and then I'll contact you.
Back at the office,
Oh, Victoria too.
they're mapping out a mission for Seattle
Atlanta
and beyond.
and Austin.
You can begin with just the tiniest of gestures, whether it's a smile or making eye contact or just saying hello. We got a window here. Do you want me to want a break?
Yeah.
Okay, try these ones out. I think those ones you're going to like.
It's work that keeps Rex moving.
I love you guys.
I love you too, man.
The way he pictures it,
See you later, Steve.
little moments can turn into life-changing ones.
Chengdu here in the Sichuan province is known for its food, architecture, and history. But the kids are going to have a hard time remembering anything but the panda.
Holy moly.
She'd probably run if she could.
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't want to miss a moment.
Just like, oh, like my heart's going.
Haley Naparand's been waiting for this day forever, really.
When I was little, I just wanted pandas. I always wanted to collect pandas.
And now she's at the panda capital of the world,
Oh my gosh, look at the panda.
where even a rear end look
I can't see the face.
is enough to please this panda
But
fan.
that's like literally my teddy bear at home.
Outside,
They're little. I know.
the view got a lot better.
There's so many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I need to be taller.
The visit to the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding was the stop on Lincoln High School's China tour everyone was looking forward to.
Oh, I rolled over.
This entire trip is a gift from China's president to the students at the low-income school.
Look, it's
This experience might be the best present of all.
Welcome to a place. Just a short flight from U.S. soil, but a world away. Bursting with energy beyond its ancient walls, this is an emotional place, deeply rooted in music, and a pride in quality education. Yet pride and poverty collide on the streets of Havana, Cuba, still under the control of a communist government. But the curtain is being drawn back to America and the Northwest to finally get a peek at what makes Cuba so special. Here we met Sol Bockley, a med student from Seattle, now in his third year at the Latin American School of Medicine in Havana. Unlike most countries, education is free here, and he's learning from a world-renowned healthcare system because of the doctor's ability to accomplish so much with so few resources. Just in the past 6 months, he's noticed a change in the Cuba he's known for 2 years.
You just kind of feel a sense of excitement in the air with the Cubans, with like a lot of hope. And there's so much that these cultures that we can learn from them and that they can learn from us.
And part of the excitement, business leaders from the Northwest, organized by the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. They've traveled 3,000 miles to lay eyes on Cuba for the first time and see its potential.
We don't know, but we are hopeful that maybe in the future there'll be more direct trade relationship and more business connection.
Panama
Panama City, Panama. It's a city full of color. It's a city full of beautiful views. And for the ports of Seattle and Tacoma,
We're going to go up.
it's full of something else.
This is our competition. Our competition.
I'm here to look at the competition.
Competition is really getting stiff for the Pacific Northwest.
This trip of Washington politicians, union leaders, and even a private company is a scouting mission to see one of the modern world's wonders, the Panama Canal.
Bigger than Ballard Locks, you think?
Originally opened in 1914, the locks raise and lower ships so they can travel between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans.
Really a marvel of engineering.
Now, a little more than a century later, the canal is about to unveil an expansion.
Here you are, and we're about to see the opening.
There's still plenty of work to do before the June opening of the 2 new sets of locks. Workers were still completing wiring at one set and still moving dirt at the other. The project will triple the size of ships that can pass through the canal.
The concern is some ships from Asia will bypass the ports of Seattle and Tacoma, instead opting for an all-water route through the Panama Canal before arriving in the southeastern ports of the United States.
I thought I was gonna die. I didn't know if I was gonna come out alive.
Just 1 week ago, a gunman opened fire inside an Orlando nightclub that welcomes the LGBT community.
It's awful to experience this with my fellow family.
At least 49 innocent victims killed and dozens more injured in what is the worst shooting rampage in modern American history. A vigil at Cal Anderson Park on Capitol Hill in the hours after it drew hundreds. An attack designed to create fear. It is also bringing people together.
We will not be intimidated. We will stand together, and we will be strong.
The LGBT community is not alone. Muslims in America, they are under attack too, with Seattle area mosques being threatened in the wake of the shootings. This week also marks a sad anniversary. It was just 1 year ago that an avowed racist gunned down 9 African Americans inside their Charleston, South Carolina church during Bible study. This is the beginning of Pride Week in Seattle, a time the LGBT community celebrates the progress it's made. But in the face of last week's attack, it is clear there is still much more to be done. Tonight we begin the conversation. Where do we go from here?
Pride and Peace, a King 5 community forum, live from the Olympic Sculpture Park in Seattle. Now, tonight's moderator, King 5 News anchor, Joyce Taylor.
Good evening and welcome. We're so happy to have you here with us tonight. We are going to be here for the next hour to talk about the impact the Orlando shootings have had on our community.
First thought that I have is that I've been really heartened to see how the American public in general has reacted to this, because you have, a double minority. You have, queer Latinos that were killed.
What was it like for you to be there to see so many people come out, and what was on your heart that night?
Well, it's difficult, and it was difficult to look out at that crowd and see so many young people and know what they were going through.
We have 23 toddlers who have shot adults since the beginning of this year. We have a gun problem, and it's not necessarily a problem with the Muslim community. I hope you could just readdress it and clarify that, please.
This happened to be a Muslim that committed this horrible deed. He could have just as easily have been Christian. He just as easily could have been Jewish. He happened to be Muslim. And I'm so sorry that we talk about that so much, because I don't think we should.
Telling you I want to commit suicide, and I tell you what's wrong with me, and you don't have any positive feedback for me, really.
The one time I thought about it was just putting the barrel and clearing out the brain.
Said I'll let God decide. And I pulled the trigger.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Wright along with King 5 reporter Taylor Mirfendereski.
For the next hour, we're going to talk about veterans and suicide. We have 4 people who are all military veterans, all of them working in a little bit different capacities in trying to solve this problem. So we want to encourage those of you watching on the live stream, especially on the King 5 Facebook page, if you have questions, go ahead and write the questions in the comment lines.
You're one of the last folks to drop off their ballot.
Yes, I guess so.
What took so long?
Well, I was busy. Yeah, but it's important to vote though.
1 minute, that's the call right there.
Oh, okay.
There you go, you just barely made it. Thank you very much.
Having followed him on the campaign trail a bit, it's I wonder how he's going to adapt, if he's just going to say, well, it was somebody else's fault or problem. Yes?
DC calls Alaska for Republicans, whether they maintain control of the Senate.
Okay, so Republicans will remain in control of the Senate. They have won Alaska, so we have a GOP House, a GOP Senate, and quite possibly a GOP president if Trump gets Pennsylvania.
So around that King and Snohomish County line, that's kind of our focus for late this afternoon into the evening for potentially more significant accumulations.
So like 1 to 3 inches of
that's
snow?
Well, that's the big question.
And this area is no stranger to snow and hail. Actually, let me show you some video that Lori Matsukawa shot yesterday as she was driving through Bellevue. Yeah, she had hail coming in. She said she could really hear it.
Robert says it just started snowing in Lakewood.
So we fired up an app so that we can come to you this morning, and we have literally been driving around for 4 hours now looking for snow. We did see snow in Everett, so I do want to point that out.
Good morning. Welcome to King 5's special coverage of the Sounders Championship Parade and Rally.
That is the owner, Adrian Hanauer, holding the MLS Cup, standing on the front of the Emerald City trolley as they're handing it off back and forth throughout the trolley here. Adrian, we're live on King 5. How's it feel to be in this position today?
Feels pretty damn good, I have to admit.
We got a picture with the coach. We're super excited. Got engaged in Toronto. Was at the game.
Oh,
super stoked,
really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
Memorable in more ways than one.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Come to Rio and meet hometown heroes set to star on sport's biggest stage. Nathan Adrian of Bremerton.
Adrian with a goal for the U.S.
Back to defend his title as the fastest man in the pool.
To be able to actually make the dream of being a 3-time Olympian come true, I mean, that's just no words that can't really express what that means to me.
Marty Malloy, Oak Harbor, looking to turn London bronze into Rio gold.
I know I can win. I just need to do it.
And Seattle's own Hope Solo, on a mission to make soccer history.
No team in history has ever won the World Cup and then followed by winning a gold medal in the Olympics.
First day of competition, good morning.
Hey, good news to report, guys. We just found out the first gold medal of the Games has gone to an American, Ginny Thrasher, in air rifle. Also some good news to report. I found something new to wear out here on the beach.
It is Stevens who makes history. As Lori said, becoming the first American male to win a silver medal since 1992.
This has been a heck of a ride.
Yeah,
so close 8 years ago, so close 4 years ago, and now, my friend, a medal around your neck. Can you even put this day, just talk about the emotions right now.
It's hard not to just break down in tears.
We like to do this after the games where you can react. Chris, I'm seeing a lot of Jimmy, Lori, West, Bobby Wagner. Look, there you are. That's you right now. Oh! They don't think this is for real. We're showing them. They're on right now. We said, hey, show us some love. What's it like inside the stadium? He just checked in.
What's up, Chris? I'm here with the 12s at Century Link.
For months, Tucker has been confined to this tank, acting like a normal turtle. But now he's about to make medical history.
Whoa, and the camera got wet.
Tucker is an olive ridley sea turtle. He was found stranded on the Oregon coast, and the Seattle Aquarium staff noticed Tucker spends too much time at the surface.
So a normal sea turtle will be completely submerged, easily just sitting at the bottom. And then they'd have to work to get to the surface to breathe. And as you can see with Tucker, he actually sits at the surface and has to work to get down below the water. And that's the problem he has. Okay, there we go. Can you grab his clip?
Veterinarian Lasana Lahner discovered Tucker has air bubbles stuck in his body. It's a problem human divers face. And so Tucker is about to go to a human hospital.
All right, so we'll want his head facing forward. It's new and exciting, and we're so appreciative that Virginia Mason is allowing us to do this, and we hope that it helps Tucker. We don't know for sure that it will, but we're giving it our best chance.
Virginia Mason's been here for 40 years. This is the first turtle that I'm aware of. It's my first turtle. We do treat divers, about 40 divers a year, with gas bubble disease, which is some variant of what he has. We use it for decompressive sickness, carbon monoxide poisoning. We use it for certain bad infections. We also use it for people who've had cancer treatment with radiation and help rebuild the tissue, and diabetic wounds. But I don't get emails very often for turtles with this condition.
40 feet, ladies and gentlemen, 40.
Dr. James Holm is an expert in hyperbaric medicine.
Just passing 45 feet.
The hyperbaric chamber will be Tucker's home for the next 2 hours. Slowly, the air pressure increases.
I'm still just going at 5 feet per minute.
As if Tucker were diving in the ocean. Right now, the air inside this chamber is as if Tucker were 60 feet deep in the ocean. It's a dive Tucker hasn't made in months, unable to return to the ocean until his buoyancy reboots.
He's stable, his heart rate is stable, so this is the best we can hope for.
The door opens and Tucker is wheeled out.
What a good boy.
It's obvious right away. The 66-pound turtle is ready to get back to the water.
Yep, easy boy.
5 hours after leaving the aquarium, Tucker returns to his tank.
1, 2, 3.
It's not immediately clear if anything's changed. Tucker doesn't know he made history. He just knows it's time for a snack and a breath of fresh air.
On July 4th, 1915, a young man climbed aboard a biplane for a short flight above Lake Washington in Seattle. Upon landing, William Boeing resolved to become a pilot. He also imagined a sky filled with airplanes that would carry passengers anywhere they wanted to go. The center of the fledgling aviation business was in Southern California. Manufacturers like Lockheed and Douglas Aircraft were there. But Boeing believed the city of Seattle was a better location for his new company.
When Boeing was starting his company, a lot of the people in Seattle hadn't seen an airplane before. Maybe a few of them had seen them at a fair. A lot of barnstormers occasionally would pass through, so the airplane was a curiosity. And I think that's how the people of Seattle looked at Bill Boeing, as kind of a curiosity.
16 years ago, King 5 launched a campaign that has now become one of the largest one-day food drives in the state of Washington. Home Team Harvest is as much of a tradition for families and businesses in the community as it is for all of us here at King 5. Today, we are at 7 different locations all across Puget Sound, collecting donations and hoping you can help us reach our goal of 5 million meals.
Why are you here this morning?
I emptied out my pantry. Yep, that's why I'm here, to give to people stuff that's in my pantry. So
makes you feel good?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Well,
can we have drum roll, please?
Drum roll.
Let me give this to Shelly here.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That's like 400,000 meals.
All right.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Tonight on Evening.
Seahawks! We are Team Evening at Camp Seahawk 2016.
We're going to check out the hottest sellers at the Seahawks Pro Shop. Hello, Kitty!
Plus, we are with the cast of Suicide Squad, and Will Smith has something to say about Coach Carroll.
Oh, the Rio Summer Olympics are just days away, but Team Evening, we can't wait to compete. The Office Olympics.
kicks off tonight.
Another way to make work feel like play, we're going to shoot some hoops inside the coolest office space around in the Central District.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We are at Seahawks training camp at the VMAC in Renton. It is so great to be back. We are Team Evening, and we are all in.
This is one of your best chances to see our favorite players up close. Already, we've spotted Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, and check this out, Michael Bennett working the crowd.
Awesome.
It's a new day.
So please welcome the Bacon Brothers. Good morning. It's good to see you again. How you doing?
How are you?
Hi, Michael. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you.
The Bacon Brothers is accurate and sounds delicious. So those are two good things. Tell me about the Bacon family growing up. Who's older? Who's younger? How many sibs?
I'm older, and I have 3 older sisters, a younger sister, and then Kevin's the baby.
Kevin's a baby. Is he the typical baby of the family?
Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah. Little brat, you know, mouthing off and giving me a hard time.
Starved for attention.
You've gotten enough attention now, though, right?
Never
You're
enough
well
attention.
to people.
The following program is a special presentation of King 5, the home team. It's a party 1 year in the making, and we're celebrating with you. The skies of Seattle are about to light up as we say so long to 2016 and hello to 2017. It's T-Mobile New Year's at the Needle, live from the Seattle Center and hosted by Team Evening.
3, 2, 1.